Okay, people, I have an absolutely amazing announcement. I just ended my interview with Brian Keith Dalton, and since he has a personal relationship with God, Mr. Deity, he agreed to put us in touch. So, Mr. Deity is going to drop by to give me an interview specifically for the CFI audience. Yeah, he's in the waiting room. Let me let him in. Hello, Mr. Deity. Thanks so much for your time, making an appearance. I know you're a very busy deity. Well, busy not curing cancer and things like that. Is it a deity or deity or just L, by the way?
I prefer deity, but most of the people, they're not British, so uh, whatever.
Oh, and before we begin, I was raised Catholic, so having you here, I have this compunction just to say, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." Oh, wait. Marjorie Taylor Greene recently said that Satan rules the Catholic Church. So is that true? Is Lucy in charge now?
No, Lucy doesn't really have to do much at all. She's not really in charge of anything. People tend to flock to her. She doesn't really have to make much of an effort. I don't know. She
True.
she is attractive. I don't know if that's part of it. So my own people just seem to love her. I don't know what that's about.
And by your own people, you mean?
The believers, the people who love me or say they love me. Yeah. It's really all about need. They just want, 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 want. You should hear my voicemail. It's millions every day, just wanting this, wanting that. Never really ask how I'm doing, you know? Just very self-absorbed, these people.
All right. First, does the conglomerate of gods that you've mentioned include Q and his continuum from, Star Trek?
So here's the deal with the Q continuum. As you may or may not know, I could not get a license for a proper creation event because I couldn't pass the psych test. They said I had anger issues, which really pisses me off. It's so not true. So um, I had to do a rogue universe. This universe is not authorized. We had to cut corners. That's why the good to evil ratios are so terrible. We also didn't have enough funding to do it properly, so we had to use a lot of dark matter, which I'm not crazy about. But that's the way we had to go. The thing is, once you're doing something illegal, if other people start doing something illegal within your milieu, you can't really say anything. So the Q continuum was actually kicked out of another universe. They came to this universe and have been a plague on me this entire time. However, I will say I do like the way Q would mess around with that Pickard guy,
Picard,
and
yes.
yeah, and his enterprise rental agency or whatever it was. I will get a kick out of that. I should say in a couple hundred years when that goes down. But I've been there and back, so I can travel throughout time and I get to see the fun stuff.
Yeah, that's very confusing sometimes to me when because I know you know the future also, but you have your all-knowingness turned off usually, so that's
Yes,
confusing.
yes. I generally I only remember it for a little bit and then it just goes right out of my head.
So, well, speaking of other gods, did you notice that you were not represented in the latest Thor movie, Love and Thunder? Seemingly every other god in the conglomerate was. Zeus was running the show. All the other gods in the universe were there, but nothing about El. It's like, what's that about?
I thought it was terrible. I thought it was an outrage that I wasn't invited, though Zeus and I right now are not on talking terms. The guy cheats. Let's just we used to play golf all the time. You've never seen a bigger cheater in your life. So that turned ugly at some point, and I don't know, maybe he had something to do with keeping me out of it. I wouldn't put it past him.
He definitely got the starring role.
He did. He did.
So if you could go back and change one thing that happened with the creation of the universe, organic or not, and I presume you can, what would that be?
I don't think I would make the people. The people
Any
the
people?
people the people are just awful. They're just terrible. You know, I I would if I could, if we had had more funds, I would have changed the good to evil ratio. So at least
That would have been nice. That would have been real
so
nice.
at least the animals maybe didn't have to, eat each other and do that kind of thing. That would have been nice. Um, but I do enjoy a good fillet. That's a whole nother issue. But just getting rid of the people because everything was going okay, aside from an asteroid here and there, everything was going pretty well. And then you get the people here, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but this whole planet is about to go into the tanker. So
But you're
I don't
talking about
know.
climate change?
Yes, and it's the people, the people that got to have their
Well,
all their
a
stuff.
lot
And
of it is because your followers apparently, think, Jesse's coming back, and so they don't have to do anything.
they also think that the rainbow meant something which it never meant. That I wouldn't trash the planet again. Well, the rainbow is just a rainbow. It's refraction of light through mists and stuff like that. I had nothing to do. It didn't mean anything. I didn't. We didn't even do the flood thing because we didn't have the budget for that either. We went with the organic model. We just left it that way. Somehow it got out. It was in the original script, which we had printed up before we had to go rogue, and we were going to do the 6-day thing. So I don't know. I don't know if Lucy leaked it, or maybe even Larry, but somehow it got out, and then people have run with it. And it's such a
Yeah, I don't
silly
think it would have been
story.
Larry. He doesn't want you coming off looking bad, and that story, come on, frankly, makes you look really like an evil monster, like flooding the whole planet, except for a boatload.
It does. It does, especially when I could just poof people out of existence. I mean, if I just wanted to whittle it down to 8 again, I could just snap my fingers and there they go.
Just like you.
Yeah, exactly. So why drown everybody? It's such a silly, silly story.
And
Even
what
for
about,
me, it would be silly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the crucifixion? Did Jesse go through with that, or was there a stunt double involved, or is it a myth? I'm confused.
We had a stunt double lined up because Jesse he really didn't want to do it. You've never seen a guy cry like that.
Who could blame him?
It was embarrassing. Um, but we had a stunt double lined up, and then Lucy figured out that we really didn't need to do it at all. That the story had already been leaked somehow. Again, I don't know who that was, but somehow this story of a dying, resurrecting God man had leaked. It was already all over the place in that time and area. And Lucy figured out, because I don't know if she has a thing for Jesus or not, but that's a whole nother story. Um, they figured out we don't need to do it. We can just do it as a myth and make it work that way. I mean, he did go down. He did things and said things and and all that kind of stuff. But he just snuck out the back door right at the end.
And the
Yeah.
back door not being the empty tomb.
No, 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 no. And then he just floated up and right
And
out of the
suffocated,
atmosphere.
no doubt.
Yes, 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 exactly,
I mean, what's with the
exactly.
floated up, by the way? We understand the difference now between space and, Earth and heaven. If it existed, it would have to be in some, I don't know, parallel dimension of string theory or whatever, but it wouldn't be like up. So like, what's with that?
Again, this goes back to the leaked script because we were going to have a flat Earth. We were going to have this beautiful dome over the top,
Oh,
which
that explains that.
we actually went and saw it at the showroom. It was gorgeous. Now there were problems with it because it was hard to keep clean, so that was a pain. But it was called a firmament. I think it was called a firmament. And then we were going to have heaven right above. So we had a little door built in so that Jesus could just right up through there.
Okay,
Um,
that makes
he
sense.
held he held the keys to the kingdom, so he could unlock the door and just come right through. And then obviously we didn't do that because we had to go in a pinch with the organic model. We bought a singularity secondhand on the black market that we used, and just boom.
So that
uh,
was, you couldn't get that on Amazon. That was on the dark web somewhere
Dark web. Yeah. Yes. Might have
with the
gotten it
dark
from Sam
matter.
Harris. I can't remember. Did we get it from Sam Harris? I don't think so. No. He's out of that though now. He's not doing that anymore.
So speaking of the Trinity, I could never get my head wrapped around that three in one, three different, like what, can you explain that to me?
I can't. I really can't. Jesse and I sat down one day and tried to wrap our minds around it, and it was probably one of the most frustrating days of our lives. Um,
Well, how about the
I
third
think,
person? Why was the ghost not included?
well, we could, yeah, that's the whole point. We couldn't, Jesse and I sat down and talked about that as well, because what do we really need this guy for when you think about it? I mean, I could see it if we were both physical beings like Jesus later became, because he still has his body. He's not just pure spirit. He's still got the body. He has to keep the body forever. That was part of the deal. So he's always going to be a physical being. So he can't, zap around faster than light and do all the things that I can do.
Why does he have to
Right?
keep the body? Is this because of the transubstantiation thing?
Partially, yes, partially because of that. And he regenerates every day. We go through a regeneration cycle because they're just eating him alive constantly. It's very painful for him. People don't realize
And I'm a little guilty of that, having been raised Catholic.
exactly, exactly. But the whole point is, if he's resurrected, physically resurrected, well, you gotta kind of keep that up, right? Because if he drops the body at some point, then people could say, oh, no, he didn't resurrect, or he resurrected for just a time, like Lazarus. Lazarus resurrected for a while, but
And
then boom, he's done again and back to the dust and all of that kind of stuff. And we didn't think that would be a good look for Jesse, so that was part of the deal. You gotta keep the body forever. He's okay with it. It's in good shape. It's in pretty good shape, and it looks nice. It looks nice. He's a good looking kid. So we kept that, but we ultimately realized we didn't need a ghost, or we didn't need to officially have a ghost as part of it. So Larry's been kind of doing the work of what the Holy Ghost would have been doing, but since he's already on the payroll, we don't have to pay him double. So that's sweet. There's a lot of benefits.
okay, all right. Here's a big cosmological question. Carl Sagan said in Contact, the universe is a pretty big place. If it's just us, seems like it's an awful waste of space. So, are there ETs? Is there any intelligent life anywhere in the universe?
Yes, there are other species. In fact, what you people don't seem to want to understand is that this universe was not created for you. It was created for two species, one of which was like I want to say 2 billion years ago in a galaxy far, far away, and they did everything they were supposed to do. They nailed it. Everything was good. Redemption was taken care of, not in the way that it had to be done for you guys.
Oh, so no crucifixion on that planet.
No crucifixion on that planet. Um, took care of everything. They were a much better species. I got to be honest with you. They were just infinitely better than you guys. That was my main point of interest. There's another species going to evolve again in another galaxy in about 3 billion years. Going to take care of them as well.
I
But
mean,
those were the
so
two.
we're like an afterthought. Is that what you're saying?
Your collateral damage, basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, you guys evolved. Uh, disappointed, very disappointed. A lot of the species that have evolved have been disappointing. You're not the most disappointing if you want to take
Okay.
take something to
Please,
heart.
who was more disappointing than humans?
The Allegorians, they couldn't speak in anything but allegory, and that was difficult. That was just very difficult for me to understand because I'm not good with allegories. So very difficult to communicate. As you know, I like to have relationships with my people, and that just wasn't working. Yeah.
Okay. Well, closer to home, especially if you know we're that low on the importance scale, why does the Christian right think you have their back?
Christian, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my people, my people.
Yeah, I guess they
Um,
think
well,
they're your people.
well, I don't really have their backs if you think about it, because when they do stuff that I don't like, they don't even have to be the stuff that is going wrong. But if they're within a nation that is going south, I just wipe everybody out. I just harm everybody. I'll throw down a tornado or a hurricane, and I don't really care who I'm hitting. I'm just trying to make a point. You're pissing me off. So, the U.S. military has like precision guided weaponry. I don't. We couldn't afford that. So it's just a broad brush. I just mess with everybody. So I don't know. They
So
just
just to
like
be
to
clear,
think,
you're aware of this QAnon thing, and like the people who marched into the Capitol building all had crosses, and Jesus is on our
yes,
side.
yes,
They're
yes.
off the rocker, right?
Jesus is not. He just doesn't like the politics. He's never liked politics.
So my final question is, why do you hate Celine Dion?
Oh boy. There was that period for a while where you just could not turn on the radio without hearing My Heart Will Go On. And, you know, that was that was back in the day where I was playing with my all-knowingness, turning it on, turning it off. Every time I turned it on, you got a multitude of things. You got just tons of masturbation, which was awful. You got you got some rape and murder, which was not fun either, but not nowhere near as much as the masturbation. I just want to say. And then you had My Heart Will Go On, and it was just unbearable. I couldn't take it. So she's pure evil.
I'm glad I didn't tell you that she's on my playlist with just that song, or you wouldn't have given me the
Oh
interview.
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Right.
Yeah, we got to end this.